Do you know what GMP stands for? Giant man pants. You know why the Meg in wide leg trousers is serving GMP but Sarah Snooks are not? How can we get this ultimate frump, this ridiculousness, but then we have this shapely, flattering, not hilariously awful. Nay, these look good. Therefore, they're not giving us giant man pant at all. They're an entirely well-styled look on Sarah that happens to be wide leg trousers. But the Meg looks dumpy. It's not the body. We don't body shame here. No. It's the execution and the garment, and whether the execution and the garment flatter that particular body well. Hi everybody, I'm Beebs Kelley. Welcome back to another fashion edition. I would like to invite you to subscribe if you have not yet already. Click the hype button and the like button, but only if you want to. So we have all seen these pictures and had a chuckle at how silly the Meg looks. I mean, look at this. We have wrinkles, we have trousers pulled up to high heavens, making the belly look big and bulky. We have puddling up on the floor and folding up and bending out because there's so much volume in the leg. They look like they're eating her alive. We have also seen Catherine, Princess of Wales, pull off a wide leg trouser with ease. But she is so model-esque. She has a very well-defined waist, a slightly long torso, a longer frame overall because she's quite tall and well-proportioned. So for many of us, it's not the most valuable comparison. No matter how lovely and stylish Catherine is, she does not have the same style concerns as most people, and she doesn't have hardly any style concerns. She's literally a model type of body, like a fashion model type of body. And those are not the most common. But in comes Sarah Snook on the show All Her Fault. Side note, it had a crazy twist, by the way. It was pretty good. It was very well acted. If you haven't seen it, it was a pretty good show. But she wore several wide leg trouser outfits on it, and each one was expertly styled and provided an excellent example of wide leg trousers done well. And the Meg, can't seem to pull off her trousers well at all. She always looks horrible in them. Sarah Snook looked fabulous. It was a fabulous example of wide leg trousers looking great and staying out of the GMP territory, unlike Meghan. But also Sarah has more realistic, I guess you could say, body type and styling concerns that might connect more with most of us. But a quick disclaimer before we begin. We never body shame here. Some people get confused in the comments. We do have to point out and be realistic about our body features and about other people's body features in order to style ourselves nicely and well, because our body features obviously affect how clothes fit us and what clothes will be most flattering for us. And ignoring styling concerns completely and pretending like they don't exist and refusing to talk about things like whether or not you have weight in your tummy, whether or not you have a well-defined waist, what is the widest point on your body, do you have a short or long torso, do you have broad shoulders, do you have big boobs, do you have a curvy butt, like what do you have going for you, what are your styling concerns? These things matter a lot when it comes to clothing, finding the right types of clothing for your body type and the right fit for you. They matter so much. So it's never criticism to acknowledge. On the contrary, it's empowering because then you're able to style better. So now we're going to have a quick look at each of these ladies' body type and point out some features of their body type and what would be a styling concern for people with similar features. And it all falls under this umbrella that is like friendly and nice and just normal style information. Okay. So Meghan's body type here, we have her widest point as her shoulders. She has a short torso and longer thin limbs, which give a bit of a lanky look. She lacks a well-defined waist, and while it's an oversimplification, we would categorize her as an inverted triangle or a V body shape. And her styling concerns are a boxy torso and long, lanky limbs. A boxy torso, to me, just means shorter without a well-defined waist, so rather square. Sarah's body type, however, is actually rather pear-shaped. Her widest point is at her hip line. She is very well proportioned leg to torso, and she's voluptuous. She has curves, and she also has a defined waist. It looks like she maybe carries a little bit of weight around the upper thigh area, the buttocks area. So we would categorize her as a pear hourglass body type, meaning she is mostly a pear with a bit of hourglass because she does have a bust line. She is a little bit more curvy, and she has that well-defined waist, which allows us to use that hourglass styling technique to rein in at the waist to help prevent her from looking overwhelmed in her clothing. Anytime you do have a well-defined waist in comparison to your bust line and your hip, you should use that because it really does help create nice balance and is more flattering and prevents things looking too big and overwhelming to your frame. But anyway, her styling concerns are her curves though, because having bigger boobs, having wider hips, carrying a little bit more weight, having a more realistic body shape and body type can make it a little bit harder for off-the-rack clothing to fit well. So for her, it is especially important to take advantage of that defined waist while finding things that will still fit her curvier areas like her bust line and her hip line. So very different body types here. We have one that is rather boxy with widest point at the shoulders and lanky limbs. One that is well proportioned, curvier with an hourglass shape. So it's no wonder that we have very different results from the wide leg trouser style, but both of these people could execute wide leg trousers well. It's really down to Sarah's being more tailored to her, better choice for her body type, and just the overall execution that makes the difference. One significant note beyond the body composition is that factor of execution. No matter what style the Meg was wearing on these occasions, she was going to look disheveled with these types of wrinkles and hemlines puddling up on the floor. Even if her pants weren't eating her alive, shoving her sleeves like this and whatnot, and having the hemline drag and being wrinkly is going to make you look messy, no matter what style you're wearing. Granted, Sarah was on a TV show. To be fair, she wasn't just out and about doing things in the real world like Meghan was here. She was on a set, so she had somebody who was there to get the wrinkles out. But there's still, there's still really no excuse for Meghan because we've seen Catherine manage to not show up like a wrinkled mess most of the time. Another note to execution is the obvious base layer. Not just because she was on TV, but, if Sarah was going to be photographed in any capacity, she might take note of this. And Meghan should, because she tends to be photographed when she does things because she sets up things on purpose to be photographed. Clearly, Sarah had on a smoothing layer and or very well-fitting undergarments. We have no panty lines, no bra lines, and no wrinkles present. So that tells me that she definitely had some sort of a smoothing layer on and was careful about the wrinkles, and also probably the choice of fabric to make sure that it was easier for them on set to not have things wrinkle up a lot. But that makes all the difference. Also, things fit her perfectly. They obviously tailored everything to perfection, something that the Meg could do if she wanted. These trousers are all hemmed properly on Sarah. The sleeves are not huge and baggy or shoved up messily on Sarah. The shoulder seams align with the shoulder, meaning where you have the shoulder seam, it is out here, not in here and not down here like we've seen on Meghan. So Sarah's clothing is either a perfect fit and or has been tailored and adjusted to her. And the same cannot be said for the Meg in these pictures. She does the literal opposite of all of those things. But all of those things, these very details on Sarah's outfits that are missing on Meghan's of being a smooth finish and no wrinkles and fitting perfectly and hemmed properly and tailored to her so it looks custom and whatnot. These are the very details that make clothes look more flattering on you and give a stronger impact because it looks so polished. It looks like these clothes were made for her. They complement her figure, they don't overwhelm or distract, and they look like they are meant to be on her. Meg's looks like she's wearing someone else's. That's where GMPs came from. It looks like she stole some giant man pants from someone and slapped them on because they don't fit her well. You'll notice the fit of the trousers on Sarah are snug from the waist all the way down to the upper thigh. And then the wide leg volume falls straight down from there. It doesn't continue to go out in some sort of crazy A-line like the Meg at the Time 100 thing, or in this picture here. The wide leg trouser kind of falls from that point of the upper thigh where it's snug and well fitted. Also, the rise of these are correct for Sarah's body. The waistband of the trousers are exactly where they should be on Sarah. They're right at the thinnest point of her waist. With Meg, that's a little bit more of a challenge because she does not have a super well-defined waist, and that's why this style isn't the best for her. Honestly, sailor pants are the best for Meghan because they are flat front and they have buttons that come down the front at a little bit of an angle like this, so that it creates the illusion that you have more of a waistline than you do, and they're flat enough to not add bulk and volume. And so if she could just find some that are more mid-rise for her, it would look a lot better. But anyway, the rise of the trousers are correct on Sarah. We don't have a saggy crotch or a drop crotch on Sarah either. And she has a long enough torso to accommodate the typical high rise on this style of trouser. Whereas on Meghan, the trousers look too large around the waist because she is short torsoed and they're either hiked up to her boobs or there's just too much height in the pant, which leaves Meghan with this saggy crotch look and an overwhelming look around the waist and lower torso. I mean, look at this. From behind, from the front, it just doesn't look attractive. And let's be honest, pants meet boobs will never look good on anyone. And a loose drop crotch sort of situation also means frumpy and dumpy from behind rather than a smooth, normal, or shapely appearance to the rump, which is just, it doesn't look attractive. And it looks ill-fitting. It makes it look like the clothes are too big for you. And this causes a lot of visual bulk and buildup around the waist. And since she doesn't have a well-defined waist, then it's just widening that area even more, making her torso look disproportionately large or larger than it is. And I don't know anybody who wants their stomach looking bigger than it is. And because Meghan is already lacking some degree of shapeliness around her hips and her torso and whatnot, then the trousers seem to hang from the waistband area rather than cascade from the lower hip and upper thigh like Sarah. And this is, to be fair, a little bit of a body composition situation, but it's also a fit situation. These trousers may be able to be tailored to fit Meghan's hip and thigh better and look a little bit more fitted there, but it won't solve the excessively high rise for her. She has to find a lower rise trouser that doesn't have so much volume, because you'll notice Meghan's trousers often have like 5 times the volume needed for a straight leg trouser on her, and they're pleated throughout the front. Whereas Sarah's look like they're just a reasonable amount of volume through the leg, it's not excessive, and they're usually flat front. Because they do fit Sarah's body from her upper thigh on up to the waistband, it shows that they are the correct fit for her. Because Meghan's may fit around the waistband, but then they're just hanging loose from there. It indicates that they just are not a good fit for her. As you can see here, Sarah was often styled in slim fit tops, which defined her figure nicely, and monochrome looks, which elongate and help offer visual balance for her curves. Because she is curvaceous, doing monochrome helps to offer a little bit more of a slimming effect and a lengthening effect, which helps those curves not look overwhelming. When she's wearing a button shirt here, it's still tucked in neatly and bloused to define her waist still so that we don't lose her waist in it and make her look a lot bigger than she is. But as you can see here, comparing this outfit to this outfit, this one with the slimmer fit top looks more flattering and she looks thinner than in this one, but this one still works. This one still looks polished, professional, and nice, and it still defines her waist, so it still doesn't overwhelm her figure. Whereas this outfit, while it's still a decent option and a totally normal outfit here, it was probably one of the least flattering on her body simply because it erased her waist. So you can compare here, when you do define the waist with a curvier or more hourglass body type, then you look thinner and it's a little bit more flattering than if you erase the waistline, you tend to look a little bit bigger than you really are. And that's all down to having a bust line and having a little bit more of a curvy body type. And that's why I say if you do have a well-defined waist, use it. Because this just tends to look a little bit more bulky and it can fall into looking a little bit more frumpy if you don't highlight that waist, because you do have a bust line that then, has volume. It creates volume up here. So then if your shirt also has volume, then it can just end up making you look a little bit more bulky. Not always, but this is an example of that. Meghan's GMPs are not helped along by the fact that she goes for button shirts almost always. Thanks to that pesky rise versus her short torso, they're just not very compatible with her here. But also notice the sleeves. It's just making everything worse. The Meg shoves her sleeves up in this bulky, messy way, and it sits right near where the GMP's waistband is, which is also bulky. So overall, this just adds even more visual weight to the area, making her waist and her belly look even bigger and even frumpier. And it also allows the eye to rest at her torso because there's nowhere else for it to look. Sarah's shirt here, though, is fitted at her wrist, and they're neat and tidy, and they're not distracting, and it adds flow, and it looks polished. And again, the flat front versus pleat is a big element to how this all works for both of these ladies, but Sarah has also worn pleats previously, but as you can see, they still lay relatively flat. They're fitted perfectly. They're still tight enough around the thigh and the buttocks, and she's wearing a tighter top here. She's not wearing a voluminous top or a bloused button down with these pleated trousers. So it's all in how you style the entire look, not just the garment itself. For Meghan, opting for a lower rise and a better fit through the hip and thigh with less bulk around the belly would solve a lot of these issues. But she still needs to not shove the sleeves up or wear sleeveless, because when she wears sleeveless, it draws attention to the arms looking disproportionately long, thin, and lanky. And it tends to draw the eye to the shoulders as well, which then makes it look like she has wide shoulders and then this huge box. The rest of her bod is just a big box. She has no shape in there. She's not giving herself any shape. She needs to go for more normal blouses that have a softness to them, and she should opt for darker color tops than the trousers, because whatever is darker tends to look a little smaller, and whatever is lighter tends to look a little bit bigger. And if you don't want either part of your body looking bigger or smaller than the other, then go for monochrome. I hope you enjoyed today's fashion edition. Leave your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a happy day ahead, and I will see you next time. Bye!